Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're cracking open Chapter 11 of the Ultimate IT Survival Guide to Mastering Microsoft Active Directory. Whether you're just stepping into a brand new sysadmin role or you're a veteran looking to really solidify your enterprise infrastructure knowledge, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to take the massive, honestly kind of complex architecture of AD and break it down into clear, actionable, and visual concepts. But first, let me ask you something right off the bat. What is the #1 most critical skill for any Windows system administrator looking to manage enterprise environments? The answer, without a doubt, is Active Directory. We're talking about a tool that's deployed in over 90% of enterprise environments globally. If you want to manage networks at scale, you simply have to master this. So what exactly is it? At its core, you can think of Active Directory as the central nervous system of a company's network. It's built on foundational protocols like LDAP and Kerberos, and it provides centralized authentication and authorization for basically everything. Think of AD as your single pane of glass. From just one console, you can manage thousands of users, computers, and security policies without ever having to physically touch a single end-user device. It really is the ultimate tool for scalable control. Here is our survival guide playbook for today. We'll be going through 1. Anatomy of Active Directory. 2. Managing users and groups. 3. Automating with PowerShell. 4. Group policy and DNS. 5. Securing the domain. And finally, 6. Troubleshooting and recovery. Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, Anatomy of Active Directory, Mapping the Territory. So before you can manage a network, you've got to understand its physical and logical boundaries, right? Active Directory uses a highly specific hierarchy to organize resources. At the very top of this hierarchy is the forest, and that is your ultimate security boundary. It's the outermost container in Active Directory. All the domains that live inside a single forest share a common schema, which is basically the blueprint for object types, as well as a global catalog. And trust within a forest, that's implicit and transitive. Zooming in just one level from that, we find the domain. If the forest is the entire corporate conglomerate, the domain is the individual company or core administrative unit. It's got its own distinct security policies, its own password rules, and administrative boundaries. This is the level where your actual users, computers, and security groups live and breathe every single day. Now, inside those domains, we use organizational units, or OUs, to group objects logically. Usually, this mirrors your company's org chart. But listen, here is a golden rule you absolutely need to burn into your memory. Keep your OU depth to a maximum of 5 levels. Why? Well, because OUs aren't just folders. They actually dictate how group policies are applied. Anything deeper than 5 levels turns group policy inheritance into an absolute troubleshooting nightmare. Keep it flat, keep it clean. Moving right along to Section 2, Managing Users and Groups, the Daily Grind. Now, what's really interesting about this matrix is how it breaks down the absolute trenches of daily administration. This is where we securely organize people, devices, and access permissions. You've got group types and group scopes. Type is pretty straightforward. Security groups carry a security context to control access to resources, while distribution groups are essentially just email lists. But scope? That's where people get tripped up. You have domain local groups for assigning permissions to actual resources, global groups to organize users by role, and universal groups for forest-wide consolidation. Understanding how these interplay is your key to mastering access control. And that leads us straight to a non-negotiable Microsoft best practice, the AGDLP nesting strategy. Basically, it stands for putting accounts into global groups, which then go into domain local groups, which are actually assigned the permissions. Let's say someone at your company changes roles. With AGDLP, you just move their account to a different global group. You don't have to touch dozens of messy file share permissions all over the network. It keeps your auditing clean, perfectly structured, and most importantly, secure. Speaking of keeping things secure, let's talk about employee termination. When someone leaves, you can't just hit delete and call it a day. You need to follow a rigorous 6-step offboarding checklist. Step 1 is immediate. Disable the account to instantly kill any active Kerberos tickets. Next, strip out all group memberships. After that, move the account to a dedicated, disabled OU, so old policies literally stop applying. Then, be sure to revoke any certificates. Fifth, handle their data and email forwarding. And finally, retain the account per your legal retention policy before permanently deleting it. All right, shifting gears to Section 3, Automating with PowerShell sysadmin superpowers. Because, let's be real, clicking through all those offboarding steps for 50 users a day, that is exhausting. We need high efficiency,
And that means introducing the essential toolkit that gives sysadmins literal automation superpowers, PowerShell. Contrast the slow, repetitive clicking of legacy graphical interfaces like ADUC with the sheer speed of PowerShell. Need to create 1,000 users? A GUI takes days. With a PowerShell commandlet like new AD user fed by a CSV file, it takes seconds. It gives you consistent configurations, bulk operations with zero human error, and massive scale reporting that's frankly impossible any other way.
Which brings us to Section 4, Group Policy and DNS, the nervous system. Moving beyond just user management, we arrive at the core plumbing that dictates how your whole network behaves. Let's start with Group Policy Objects, or GPOs. These control the working environment of your accounts. But what happens when multiple policies conflict? Active Directory resolves this using the LSDOO processing order: local, site, domain, and finally, OU. The crucial thing to remember here is that the last applied policy always wins. Because OU policies are applied last in the chain, they get the final say, overriding domain-level settings and essentially giving them the highest default precedence. And while we're on the topic of policies, I want you to write this golden rule down in permanent marker. Never, ever edit the default domain policy or the default domain controller's policy. Leave them completely untouched. If you need to enforce a custom password policy or deploy new software, you always create a brand new, descriptively named GPO. Why? Because if you make a catastrophic error, you can just disable your custom link without breaking the foundational rules of your entire domain.
So the crucial point is this: DNS is Active Directory's nervous system. I literally cannot overstate this fact. Active Directory depends entirely on DNS to locate domain controllers via SRV, or Service Locator Records. If DNS breaks, AD breaks. It's that simple. Domain controllers won't replicate, group policies won't download, and user logins will fail entirely across the board. You should always use AD integrated DNS zones for your internal domain to ensure automatic, secure replication.
Let's pivot now to Section 5, Securing the Domain, Shield and Sword. Now that we've built and connected the domain, we have to defend it against modern credential theft, ransomware, and lateral movement. One of the biggest, scariest vulnerabilities in any AD environment is regular service accounts. These are the accounts running back-end server processes, often with highly privileged, non-expiring passwords that get written on a sticky note and forgotten. The modern security standard is to replace them with Group Managed Service Accounts, or GMSAs. With a GMSA, Active Directory automatically rotates that complex password every 30 days. No humans know the password, and it seamlessly supports multiple hosts. It's an absolute game changer. And this brilliantly illustrates how we prevent attackers from moving around the network, the Microsoft tier model. You divide your assets into Tier 0 for your highly sensitive domain controllers, Tier 1 for servers, and Tier 2 for standard workstations. The golden rule here? Total isolation. A Tier 0 admin account must never, ever log into a Tier 2 workstation, because if they do, and that workstation is compromised, attacker tools can scrape those admin credentials straight from memory and take over the entire domain. Coupling this tier model with privileged access workstations strictly prevents that kind of devastating lateral escalation. Which brings us to our final core topic, Section 6, Troubleshooting and Recovery, Surviving the Fire Drill. Let's move to how this builds a solid crisis response. Because even with perfect design and security, things will eventually break. When the alarms go off, you need to transition smoothly into crisis mode. If a domain controller fails, do not panic. Follow this 5-part methodology. First, identify the exact symptoms. Second, isolate the scope. Is it one user, one site, or is everyone down? Third, check for recent changes in GPOs or network configs. Fourth, gather the actual logs using Event Viewer or diagnostic tools like DDIIG and repadmin. And only then do you move to step 5, test a hypothesis and do it one change at a time. We've covered a ton of ground today, from forest architecture all the way to PowerShell superpowers. To turn all this theoretical knowledge into practical, everyday momentum, here's your 30-day action plan. In Week 1, get your health checks running with DCIAG and map your current OU structure. In Week 2, rigorously audit your domain admins group. By Week 3, start hardening your security by actually deploying those GMSAs. And finally, in Week 4, use PowerShell to automate your reporting so you never fall behind again. You now have the exact blueprint to build, automate, secure, and rescue an enterprise directory environment. The tools are in your hands, the strategies are laid out, and the very next steps are clear. So my final question to you is this: are you ready to step up and truly take control of your domain? Take this survival guide,
Put it into practice, and I guarantee you'll see a massive transformation in your network stability. Thanks for tuning into this explainer, and keep learning.